Test 11111. Looks like it's right. All right. Talk to me, Roland. Let's see if I've got you going through. Why are you not? Okay, so you're not being streamed. What the hell? Okay. So it's because of my something about my setup here. Let me see desktop audio here. Hmm. There you go. Well, good lord.
Huh?
Okay, say something to me.
I am saying something to
Okay.
you.
Okay, yeah, you're streaming out. I don't know why the hell that happened. I changed it off of. I didn't change anything. I turned it off and turned it back on, and it started working again.
Yes, the
I
old
I want to
trick.
say way to go Windows because I don't think that it would be. Uh, okay, I gotta take this other earphone out of my ear because it's voice jamming me.
That is it.
Okay. Hey, folks out in YouTube land, I'm going to put you on mute again for a second. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, OBS, and I'm going to stick the earbud in my ear here so that I can hear the actual live stream. Okay, talk to me, Roland, and let's see if we have desktop audio.
Yes, I hope we do have audio. That would be great.
Yep, we're good. Okay, so again, I got to pull that earbud out of my ear because it's his voice jamming whenever I do it. Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. We are waiting for Tony to get here. Our episode's going to be a little bit different this time because Tony's got to be out of town for our next scheduled recording session. So we're going to do kind of 2 short episodes here. We're going to have Nathan back on for the second half of the recording session. And in the first half, it's going to be the 3 of us kind of covering mailbag and some of the things that we didn't get done last session. So I hope you enjoy. By the way, Gernund was that how you would pronounce it? Was it Gernund?
However you want to pronounce it.
Would you use a hard G or a soft G?
Say it like hard in a like completely like Gernund.
Gernund. Okay. I will not try to fake a German accent because it's embarrassing if I try to do that. So. So the folks at YouTube land, Gernund is Roland in the chat, and so he has been tasked with keeping up with the YouTube channel so that I can set it and forget it, if you will.
The chat management, so to say.
Tony popped in for a second there. So yeah, we're waiting for Tony to he's having some audio issues. And once he gets in, we will start.
Oh, I'm definitely not tired.
Are you talking about your dwarves? Or are you talking about yourself personally?
I'm talking about myself because I went coffee free today.
Uh-oh. Is there a reason that you did such a drastic thing?
No, not really, but you gotta cut your liver some slack sometime.
Okay, I'm going to step away from the desk for just a moment. I will be right back. Sure.
Okay, maybe he's now in. I'm not sure, but no, never mind. He's out again. Amazing technologies. Yeah, crunch. You gotta have some snacks for when we sit here and talk.
That was actually an ice cube tray. That awful sound. I forgot to mute my mic. Hey, I saw somebody pop in. It looked like ASDF. So that's a common name for my SQL scripts.
Somebody in the chat said that I sound somewhat quiet.
Well, I will crank up your volume a little bit more.
Crank it up then.
That is as high as it goes on my end. So if you are going to be any louder for the live stream, then I think it'll have to be done on your end.
On my end? Oh God. Me fiddling with my audio design, that is not a good story though. Always ends in misery. But I can possibly.
Yeah, I don't have an option for turning it up.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, there you are. Hello.
Wow, that was tricky. So it only works with one browser on one machine and one headset microphone combination. It's very fussy, Zencaster. So
Eventually, Zencaster is going to tell us we're going to have to start paying for this because, they said that this is going to be free while the pandemic lasts.
oh, come on, quit wearing masks, everybody. Stop with your stupid vaccinations. I'm going to pay for this thing.
Let's get some new variants.
Let's do that. Looks like we've got some, so
Yeah, cool.
let's see.
Mission
Left
accomplished.
Variant.
Cool. Yes.
So I tell you what.
Great.
So rather than having you guys be turned up louder because I've got you maxed out, I'm gonna back mine off so that I am quieter in the YouTube stream, so that
Yeah.
so that way our folks can turn themselves back up, or our listeners can turn their whole volume back up, and we'll at least be somewhat balanced. So okay, it looks like we are somewhat. Looks like I'm actually peeking, man. There we go.
Oh, I see. It looks like Zencaster. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, but it looks like Zencaster itself is very picky about the type of microphone that it uses, and it won't use a Zoom H6 recorder at all.
Is that like one of the handheld, like serial live recorders?
Yeah, that's right. I've got one of those. It's pretty good, except for the
I've got
fact
one too. I
that
can't remember. I've got actually two of them. Used it for recording rehearsals. Use them for recording rehearsals for our garage band.
yeah, see, I mean, it's a great device because it's also an audio interface.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I didn't know that. Mine's not. Mine's a cheap.
oh, okay. This Zoom one's pretty darn cool, but it's it's not very good
If it don't work.
if it don't work on Windows or Zencaster, I guess is where it doesn't work. Oh well.
Okay.
What would life be without computer problems?
So
Good.
Good. Yeah.
So Nathan's going to show up here at 15 minutes on the top of the hour for us to start our second session. So let's get rolling.
Let's get to it.
I posted the what am I trying to say? I posted the something. Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
It's done. All right. Well, great show, everybody. Thanks. It's a wrap.
See you next time. Yeah.
This has been Dwarf Roundtable. Okay. Bring up Discord here. Okay, so let's just fly with it. All right.
Fly away.
Welcome to Dwarf Fortress Roundtable, the podcast for all things Dwarfy. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Roland.
I'm Tony.
And welcome back, guys.
Well, thanks for having us back, Jonathan.
Yay.
It's great to be here.
So I actually, our last episode, we were talking with Nathan, and I believe that we kind of went over using full text mode. So I actually got that working.
Oh, how was that?
Oh.
It's pretty cool. It runs so much faster over SSH than it does whenever you're running on, just the right. Well, at least I usually use the Lazy Noob Pack on Windows.
Yeah.
But it's so responsive. It was amazing. Of course, it was definitely ASCII text. It was whatever font your terminal program is using. So.
Yeah, I found it is functional, and the more that I use it, the more I wonder why I'm doing that.
Doing what?
So I usually, why would I play it in text mode unless I was playing over SSH or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave up on it. I've done it when I've had problems, when it's like something's not working right, because on the Mac, Dwarf Fortress is always a bit of a challenge, or
Right.
it can be.
Oh crap! Hold on.
Oh,
Shit.
crap.
Crap. Okay.
Indeed.
I forgot to hit record on the stupid Zencaster. Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh god.
That's a first.
Well, it's a wrap.
We'll try this again. This is going swimmingly. I am so much quieter than you guys on, but that's okay. That's okay.
Don't be too hard on yourself.
I know, right? So, welcome to Dwarf Fortress Roundtable, the podcast.
What the
Okay,
hell?
we'll do it again one more time. Okay. Yeah, actually, Roland, on Zencaster, you are just like peeking it out. So, so if you could actually back off just a little bit. Sorry, folks. I hope that my balancing helped out the live stream. But
I really didn't change anything though, but okay.
Okay, you could use your soft and sultry after dark Roland voice.
Stand on the other side of the room.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna try to kick this thing off one more time. Welcome to Dwarf Fortress Roundtable, the podcast for all things dwarfy. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Roland.
I'm Tony.
And welcome back, guys. Let's see if we can do this without stumbling too much. Let's see, what is today? Is it Friday the 13th?
Oh, I don't think it is. I think it's Sunday the 13th, though, right?
We got that 13. That's what's causing things to be awry.
I see.
Yeah. Anyway. So last time when we had Nathan on, I think that we were talking about using text mode. So I successfully got that going. It's actually pretty cool. It runs much crisper, much more responsive than running it directly on Windows, surprisingly.
Yeah, well, that'll do it when you strip out all of the fancy gewgaws, you graphics-loving kids.
Well, not even that. It may be the graphics. You know, we were talking about the fact that even ASCII mode, whenever you're running just natively, is a tile set, but it runs over SSH more responsively than even vanilla Dwarf Fortress does whenever you don't change any settings. So all I did have to do was change in the init.txt file that's in the, I think it's the home folder / libraries, something. There's a file in there somewhere in a folder called init. So you just go in there and you change that, and it tells you all the options that you have for your different text modes, but
Yeah,
different graphics modes.
And for fun, in there you can also change stuff around. So I found in the constant challenge that I have playing Dwarf Fortress on a Mac, you can make edits in there and change things to, like, I think it's like frame buffer or something, and that can improve sort of the lagginess of the UI. So all sorts of fun you can have with that.
Interesting.
With that
Frame buffer. That sounds so scary. What? So
frame buffer.
would
Yeah,
that
I
be
don't know
like
what it does.
It's setting up the screen draws in a virtual screen and then popping it all at once, like
Sure.
graphics programming. Huh.
Sure, that's exactly what it does.
Ah, cool.
Absolutely. I have no idea.
So did you say that you have done text mode on your Mac before?
Yeah. I've done a bunch of those because there were just challenges getting it to run, and when I had that new Mac with the Apple Silicon on it for a while, I was doing that, and it worked pretty well. And I've played around with the text mode on Linux a little bit, but yeah, it's like if you enjoy playing Dwarf Fortress in full ASCII mode, then I would say, why wouldn't you use text mode?
Yeah, I think
You know what I mean?
It's compelling to me. I don't know why. Also, I like Unix, so maybe that's why it's.
There you go.
That's probably part of it. Yeah. All right. So last episode, whenever we had Nathan on, great episode. We'll have to have him on again sometime soon.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? So we also were talking about. Lost my damn train of thought.
So we were talking about text mode.
Yeah.
Or did we transition from that?
I was in the middle of trying to transition from that.
We were transition. Okay, so I'm going to set you up for a transition. Well, that was a great discussion on text mode, Jonathan. What else were you thinking about talking about today?
Let me look back at the notes.
That's not helpful. I'm trying to pull them up too. I'm like, where the heck is this stuff? Me and my damn computer problems.
Oh, so I did after our last session. I also went back to my rooms. We were trying to make some opulent throne rooms into royal throne rooms, and I believe that is the case. For whatever reason, the algorithm does not count the value of the thing on a pedestal when counting the style of the throne room. So what it does is it calculates the value of things that are built there proper. So it would count the value of the pedestal, but not the artifact that's on it. However, whenever I put a artifact chest into the room, then it became a royal throne room just fine. So yeah, that was. I think I would say that's probably like a very minor bug. So, but it is a good thing to keep in mind when you're trying to whenever you're trying to prop up the value of some rooms. Go ahead.
That is super interesting. That makes a lot of sense because I'd put artifacts in rooms and I'm like, look, dude, you've got all of the artifacts in this fort and you still think your room sucks. What is going on? I'm about to throw him into the pit and it's just a bug and I almost killed the king for it. So
it's because you gave me a dilapidated wooden pedestal to put this, this incredible, the Arkenstone on, right?
the elf toenail crown or whatever. God, I had one of those one time. What the hell? Has science gone too far? Somebody had made an elf toenail crown, and I thought,
that's disgusting. God.
Can we talk about that? That's not okay. Like that's just a bridge to I think I was asking one day why Dwarf Fortress on Steam is like, you have to tell it that you're older than 18 or 21 or whatever, and now I know why. It's because of elf toenail crowns. Nobody.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely that, and not like the bloody combat where you can like decapitate people.
The head sails off in an arc. Oh, okay. Fair enough. That's probably grim. Yeah.
Well, that and the Puritanism of the American society when it comes to alcohol. So it's like the doors are inebriated all the time.
Yeah, Roland, I don't know, but yeah, no one in the U.S. drinks alcohol. We banned it in our constitution back in the 20s, and so we're just a dry nation basically. So.
Honestly,
we repealed that in 1930 or so.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, you can drink again.
Shit. Well, I haven't gotten that far in the history book. I'm just into the sort of like early 30s, so I'm glad we got all that war business out of the way.
Basement, right?
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. I don't want any spoilers, but
sorry,
I've been making mushroom wine over the pandemic, and I feel like it's turning out pretty well.
No, I just wanted to say that I would have believed that if I didn't spend some time in the US. So I know you have alcohol, but the quality of your beer is like a different discussion.
Yeah, we like to call it American swill.
Yeah.
I'm broken here.
There is good beer here. It's just usually not produced. Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for water,
on my side, guys.
What's that? Is that Tony? Oh, we just lost Tony.
Oh.
So we have temporarily lost Tony. I think that he will be back here in a moment. I didn't catch what he said there. He's back.
Hey, sorry. Can you guys hear me now?
Can you hear me right? Yes.
That was very weird. All of a sudden, an error message popped up, and I couldn't hear you guys anymore.
Huh. Cool.
Made me sad.
So what I was saying is, if you are looking for good beer, you can find it in the States, but it's almost always going to be done by a microbrewery or by someone's homebrew setup. The major beer manufacturers. If you are looking for something that you can drink like water, then American beer is fine.
Grocery store beer is pretty bad. I went to Belgium one time, and And I walked into the grocery store and I thought, oh, I'll just buy myself some beer because I'm at the grocery store in Belgium and I know Belgians make great beer. And I ended up not being able to make a decision because both sides of the aisle were filled with like the best beer you could possibly imagine. And it was all like less than €1. And it was like overwhelming for me. Like I came out with nothing. My wife's like, why didn't you buy beer? And I was like, I have to go. I can't cope. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk on beer.
Yes,
Well,
it's very close to like dwarves and stuff, so it fits.
You know, we are talking to a German, and you know, Germans are known worldwide for their beer.
And
So-
sausages.
True.
Schnitzels
True.
of various kinds.
If for no other reason, I need to visit Germany so that I can experience the sausages. I love sausages.
Yeah, I think they do that pretty well.
Let's all meet in Wisconsin.
Pass, but yeah, great idea. Sorry, Wisconsin.
Anyway, so whoa, we got way off track there.
We
That's
did get a little
typical.
off track, but that's
You know,
okay.
actually, though,
thank God
beer
for
and
editing, huh?
Beer and alcohol, they're fine for subject matter on Dwarf Fortress Roundtable because
That's right.
dwarves love beer.
Hey, and mead. How have you guys done? Have you guys done mead? Or
I have
are you
never-
meaders?
Never set up anything with bees, but
Mead maker.
Oh.
that's some really neat looking stuff that that Tarn posted earlier in June on the Steam update stuff. Did you
He's
see
such
the
a
pictures
tease.
of the
Yeah,
hives
I
and
did.
stuff?
He's such a tease. Tarn. All these glorious screenshots getting everybody so excited. Buddy, we are looking forward to this release.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about the user interface there. There's the section with checkboxes that say things like Hive with a checkbox beside install colony when ready and gather any products.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the same that we have right now, but you can actually click it with a mouse.
Yeah.
I think it's actually even like the same text. They didn't change that at all.
Oh, okay.
But it's cool. I like the beehives because they have this like how you say this like grungy fantasy bee feeling to them.
Fantasy Bee Feeling is the name of my new band.
Fantasy bee feeling, yeah. Write it down, people. But you know, honestly, I really hope that in the future of Dwarf Fortress, I might be able to put bees in like beehives and actually use them, not just for like the fun of it. Because right now I just do bees because I can do bees, but not for like actually like having any kind of stuff working with it. Like wax working? Who?
Do bees or not do bees? That.
Quick,
is the
quick aside here. Hey, Von here out there in YouTube land. I personally like Wisconsin. I wanted to go to school at Wisconsin Madison. You know, Madison, Wisconsin is where I believe Doom was written. And also I like the Milwaukee Brewers a lot. So.
And we can also plug Milwaukee for being a pretty cool city. You know, when you find the cool spaces, and let's don't forget Wisconsin Dells.
I have never
The
been
water
been
park
there,
capital of the world.
So
I can't judge. I've never been there.
So I just wanted to point out that anytime that we knock a place, we need to make sure that everyone realizes that we're doing it in total jest and we don't.
It's out of love. It's out of love
Yes.
for cheese curds and Wisconsin. Actually, you know what? I can't say something nice about is Wisconsin cheddar. I think it's disgusting. You got a lot of other great. You've got a lot of other great stuff going for you, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
You've got your Packers. I think that's Wisconsin, isn't it?
Yes,
or is that a
it
different
is, it
state?
is.
Okay, good, awesome. And then you've got your Dells. That's pretty cool. You got Milwaukee. That's Madison's pretty neat. But your freaking orange neon cheese guys.
I mean,
Damn.
yes, it's just, you know, like friendly banter when we do it, except for when it's about Berlin, then I actually do mean it. But that's a different discussion.
Well,
Hey,
you can
I'm
do
gonna-
that
I'm
'cause
gonna mail
that's yours. You know.
Roland.
I can you know talk smack about Missouri all I want because I'm a Missourian.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mail Roland some Wisconsin cheddar, and
Please don't.
then he can. And I don't know if it'd be allowed. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I'd get on some sort of list.
Mailing cheese is illegal in this democracy.
You can actually bring cheese into the United States from foreign countries, just to put that out there. But I don't know about the export rules for cheese.
Yeah, but no, like Kinder
if you're
Egg.
not selling it, it's
The king has made a mandate: no export of cheese allowed.
The cheese list. You will get on the cheese list.
Do you
right,
guys ever
back to
do you
the
guys ever
show.
make cheese? Have you ever done a cheese fort?
Oh
I have-
yes.
I have never made cheese in my fort. So what's involved in making cheese?
Animals
Milking cats.
and animals and patience and green grass and
Mostly patience.
yeah, mostly patience.
Why green grass?
Patience. The animals that make the cheese eat that, and if they don't have enough access to it, then they don't make milk, or they
So when-
starve to death.
When people talk about milking cats for cat cheese, is that just BS?
I don't think you can milk
yes.
cats, can you? Yeah, I don't.
No,
think
no,
cats
they
are...
don't have is it like milking tag? Anyway, the tag, they don't have that. Like only a very few animals in the game actually do have it, which is sad. So you can't milk everything, but you can milk, for example, pigs. So you can make pig's milk cheese.
I think you can get that in the real world.
Yes.
So there is one
but
animal
no,
that
thanks.
you wouldn't need the green grass for. If you're making just hog cheese, then hogs don't require pigs don't require grazing land, so you can raise them in the basement of your fortress.
You know what? Pigs don't require grazing land. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Well,
Yes,
damn.
that's true.
Well, pig cheese fort, here we come. I'm
Yes.
actually going to start getting pigs into this fort.
Yes, they are.
Sadly, it is very viable, and if you slaughter a fat pig, it gives so much meat. Also, they reproduce like goddamn like capybaras. It's woof.
And look at the bones.
But if you think about it from an economy perspective, you could get cheese from some of them. You could get bacon and, other pig products from another one. But I guess you
Leather.
do risk having a totally not kosher fort. So,
That's
it
okay.
depends.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's okay.
Okay.
So can you train pigs as war animals?
War pigs.
No, but you can definitely mod that in. That is absolutely possible.
Well, if that's the case, you could also mod in that you could make cats milkable. So
Sure. I mean, when we talk about modding, there is no like point in stopping. You can also make like a dragon milk cheese. The epic quest of getting my hands on dragon milk cheese.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Krug Smash, I had the idea first. You heard it here first, Krug
Did
Smash.
did that guy make a dragon milk fort?
No,
I think
but
he's off like playing with like robots and stuff now, I think.
Yes,
So I think you've got
yes.
some time because he's playing with missile walkers or something.
well,
been
we'll
following
know where he
closely,
gets his ideas if we come back and we have the first fortress that when he comes back to Dwarven lands has milkable dragons.
Pig's milk.
Then we know.
But no, that
So I've just researched it. We don't drink pig's milk apparently. Just to put it bluntly, it sounds like it's disgusting.
we
Watery.
as in humans.
Yeah, humans. I think pigs drink it. To be
and
fair,
dwarves
and
do.
I don't want to milk shame anybody if they do like it, but
Ah.
yeah, it sounds like it's watery and disgusting and gamey. So really, everything you don't want a milk to be.
Yes. We got the question here, right? What would be the most economical animal in Dwarf Fortress? While we had the discussion about like using all of the animal, and I do think it's like either llamas or alpacas, because you can slaughter them for meat, you can share them for wool, you can milk both of them, and I think the llama is a bit better because it's a bit larger and gives a bit more meat. But they're grazers, so you have to have like some kind of pasture. It's not like pigs. You can like throw the poor pigs into like a
Can can you have grazing areas in the caverns? Is there any way to have grazable?
Yes.
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 Okay,
Like
so that's an option then.
yes,
You gotta
like
be a bit of a madman, but
the fungi and stuff that counts as like eatable stuff for grazes. However, not every tile has that, and the overworld has like on every tile there's basically grass. So like an overworld pasture is, or it has to be, not as big as like an underworld pasture, but it works. It can be done.
So I do have a question about that. So whenever I break into the caverns, eventually, almost every stone floor is covered with, I guess it's fungus, moss, whatever. Because
Yeah.
have you noted that whenever you break into the caverns, I guess the fungus spores spread out around your fortress, and you end up with fungus or moss or something growing everywhere. Is that stuff grazable? The stuff that's growing everywhere?
Oh yes. That is also very, very much grazable, and it doesn't have to be when you break into the caverns, I think. But I might be wrong about it because I know exactly what you're talking about. Um, but for example, my kitchen is far away from like the whole cavern stuff and still has like moss going on. But you can, if you let it sit for a while so that moss and shrooms actually accumulate, then you can put like horses in there. I tried that once before.
Cool. So
yeah, I've done that, and it got eaten. Something came and ate everything, so it was a bad
Oh.
experience. Cavern, like something flew in, some forgotten beast flew in and ate everything. So that was sad. So do be careful in the caverns, because remember they go up, and so if you have a flying thing and you have a little pen for your animals, the flying thing can come over and eat them.
Yes.
And
Sad.
sadness prevails.
yeah, didn't think about that.
Mm.
So
Hell.
you're talking about the llamas. So can you train llamas as war animals? What are the animals that can be trained for battle? We got
dogs, isn't it?
dogs.
Oh my god, that is a good question. I only know about dogs. I think
Bears.
rhinos, elephants, and not all bears, I think. Just grizzly and polar. I'm pretty sure I have a black bear and I can't wall train that.
So you can train rhinos for war animals.
Pretty sure you can.
Because
I'm
I
pretty
have
sure I did that once.
Can
because
you?
I have a couple of male rhinos. I'm just waiting for the elves to bring a female. So
What about rabbits?
war
No.
rabbits.
No.
Wasn't that a Jefferson Airplane song?
War Rabbit. Yeah, it's one of their best. I like War Cavi, the sequel. It was really good. What if you could do War Cavies, and you could, it'd be like that. Would you rather face one Cavi-sized dragon or 100
Ah.
dragon-sized Cavies?
Well, technically, I would take
gosh.
the dragon-sized KV because dragon-sized is like a wonky definition since when a dragon is like hatching, it's about as small as a cat. So, goddamn.
Got it.
Okay. Last episode, we also ran out of time to cover our mailbag. So,
Mailbag.
Why don't we take a look at the mail that our users have sent to us?
You know what you need to
I keep
edit in
calling
here?
Users. What's that?
You've got to edit in that you've got mail. No, don't do that. Sorry.
No, I do like that idea. I was just thinking
Apologies in
copyright.
advance.
I figured that Time
Yeah, I bet
Warner-
AOL is hot
Yeah.
defending that trademark. I bet they lose billions each year on that one.
The thing is, I'm not sure if you're being facetious
I
or not.
don't even know myself, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on here. Like, I just show up.
All right. So, if you want to send us email and ask us a question or make a suggestion or just tell us how wonderful or horrible we are, feel free
It
to
might
do
be
so.
time to see professional help. No, sorry.
Send us
That's a
an
good
email at urist@dfroundtable.com. That's URIST@dfroundtable.com. And you can also leave a message on the episode of your choice on the website. Honestly, I probably will have a better chance of catching it if it is coming in through the email, because I only go back through the website to check for new comments a couple times a week, where I'm looking at the email pretty much every day. So, anyway. So, a person named Jonathan, not me, wrote in and indicated whenever we were covering our stockpile episodes, a couple things that we missed out on were quantum stockpiles and minecart aided stockpiles. So I have used a quantum stockpile before, but that is, for whatever reason, that's one thing that I kind of think of as, a step too far in cheating the system. Have you guys used quantum stockpiles before? So for everyone to let anyone know, a quantum stockpile is in essence a dump that you put, but you are purposely putting your things that you don't want to dump but are actually wanting to use in the dump so that you have an infinitely large tile in essence. So have you guys used those before?
I did, but I don't regularly because I mean, it's sort of solving a problem I don't have. So,
yeah. Roland?
I mean, it depends on what you use it for. My forts are fairly large now because I just have the processing power on this PC.
Humble brag.
So I kind of humble brag, yeah. But I splash out with my stockpiles simply because now I can see stuff better and I don't have to put it on small tiles and stuff. But I used to do a lot of ammunition quantum stockpiles because ammunition was always something that annoyed me dearly.
That's a good idea. The ammunition is a place where I don't think that I would consider it cheating. I guess it's because I always wanted to use it. If I needed it, it was with stone. And part of me is if you collect so much stone, you should have problems storing it. So, but ammo would be a great way to do that. However, it's not readily accessible in a quantum stockpile, is it? Don't you have to?
Oh yeah, it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah, you have to actually manipulate the stockpile to reclaim the stuff, I think.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I found it kind of challenging micromanaging, so I gave up.
So yeah, but we didn't cover that on our last episode when we could have. Also, minecart aided stockpiles. Yeah, I've laid down a few tracks, and I think that I got a minecart moving once just to make sure that I did it, but I am not to that advancement level yet, I don't think.
Yeah, minecart's tricky.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this Jonathan, not me, said that he uses a minecart loop so that apparently to deal with his refuse and corpses so that they don't have a problem with miasma. So.
Huh.
Sounds useful.
Okay.
And yeah, Krug Smash did a lot of minecart based stuff in some of his earlier videos. But I just like you, Tony, and the quantum stockpiles. It's just not something that I've run into really needing yet, I don't think.
Yeah, the minecart stuff's pretty neat. But yeah, with quantum stockpiles, I think I used it as a trash dump more than anything else, because it served that purpose very well. But otherwise, yeah, otherwise you're just kind of in there having to forbid and unforbid, and so you can go in and unforbid things when you need it, and then they go grab it and put it in another stockpile. But then maybe there's this whole other layer of 3D chess that people are playing with stockpiles, kind of like what Nate was talking about, where he's like, I feed this stockpile with this thing, and I guess his video talked about that. If you guys watched it, it was pretty awesome. But it was this stockpile feeds this thing, and then this workshop takes and puts here, and it was incredibly efficient and impressive. So maybe there's some way to do that kind of stuff with it. I don't know. I'd be really curious. So if anybody has cool ideas that you're listening right now and you're like, guys, you don't get it. How can you not see? This is what the benefit of the quantum stockpile is. That'd be awesome. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Por favor.
Thanks, Jonathan, for sending in the email. Stephen A. Ridley sent in an email saying that he agrees that the transition from RimWorld to Dwarf Fortress that we had talked about in previous episodes is it seems like RimWorld is a nice gateway drug for Dwarf Fortress.
It does have that aspect to it. Yeah, it's good that way.
So, but he also said, so we were talking about, now I think that this was before our episode with Nathan, but we had also talked about setting up the text mode stuff and remote playing of Dwarf Fortress, and apparently there's an app out there. It's a iPad iOS app that you can get apparently at the Apple Store called Dwarf Fortress Remote, and it sounds like it's a subscription service, but
you can set it up to control yours.
What's that?
You can set up an instance of Dwarf Fortress that you control, and you can control it. I don't know that you have to pay a subscription.
Oh.
At least you didn't used to have to.
Okay, cool. Oh, so you've done this before?
I have, yeah.
Oh,
very
okay,
briefly.
cool. So yeah,
check it out.
Dwarf Fortress Remote, and apparently it's got the Space Fox tile set on it. So what is it like? You're just kind of doing like a remote desktop session or like a terminal services session or something into the server.
Yeah, the way it used to work, I don't know, unless they've done something special with it recently. Basically you'd set up, you'd unpack a tar file or whatever on your machine, and it would be an installation of Dwarf Fortress, and then DF Remote was basically just an iOS client that you could use to play Dwarf Fortress, and you were just sort of controlling that instance that you had on your machine. So you'd have to leave your machine up on the same network to be able to play it. And I'm sure it's cool, but at the time I found it challenging from the UI perspective because my phone is not very good like that. Like I feel like I'd want a keyboard to play Dwarf Fortress, and without a keyboard I feel a bit useless.
Yeah,
but
Steven
it's neat.
Said that he did it with his iPad, which probably would make it a little bit easier than a phone.
Yeah, and if you had, I don't know if maybe now it has its own sort of remote, somebody's got like Dwarf Fortress banks of servers or something, maybe that works. I don't know, but I think it has to connect to your own machine, so figure out how you do that.
Yeah.
So if you make Dwarf Fortress Remote and you'd like to come on this show and talk with us about it, send us an email and we'll be happy to have you on, and we'll go over what motivated you to do this. If you're
there
not
we
listening,
go.
then never mind.
Yeah, so it looks like they've got a hosted version of it, $5 a month you can pay, and you can go wild. $5 a month, you can purchase a server subscription instead of maintaining your own server. You can upload and download your save games at any time, and it includes a 3-day trial period. So thank you, mifiki.com. The developer is called Mifiki. I'm not sure how we say that, but there we are.
All right. Thanks, Stephen Ridley, for sending the email in. And Robert G. sent a question and a suggestion asking if we could do a talking segment where people submit their Dwarf Fortress stories and the group reads through their favorite ones submitted. Seems like we do that occasionally whenever people send in their... but I don't think we've made a segment out of it. Have we done that before?
If you send it, we will read.
If you send it, we will read. So with us, Roland?
Yeah. Yes.
I hadn't heard you breathe in a while. So I hadn't heard you talk.
Still alive.
That's good to hear. Good
Tony,
to hear your
I don't know
voice,
if you
man.
heard this. Roland this is day one without coffee. So
interesting. That's fine. Well, it's evening there, so you can go to bed soon.
Yeah.
And then wake up and not make coffee in the morning. So look
No.
forward to that.
It's
Going well, it sounds like.
wow. Okay. Thanks, Brain. Christ.
Okay, so little inside baseball here. It is 11:46, and this is about the time that I told Nate that we would wrap up our first segment, and we're 34 minutes into recording, plus a minute or so that I might end up having to scab from the YouTube stream because I forgot to hit record. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Then we'll bring Nathan in.
Very
That's
good.
cool with you guys.
Very
Okay.
good.
Yes, of course.
So, has anyone got anything else they would like to cover on today's episode of Dwarf Fortress Roundtable? Apologize for the shortness of this, but of this episode, but we've got some things going on where we've got to get out of here early this episode. Anybody else got anything that they want to cover today?
I got nothing.
No, not really.
I believe it was
Alright.
a very comprehensive discussion on cheese, pig cheese in Wisconsin. So thank you.
Yes.
all.
And llamas.
And
llamas.
And pigs.
And,
And
pigs,
cat milk.
and their delicious
Cat
cheese.
milk.
All
Sounds
right.
really nice.
Okay, so until next time, this is your friends at Dwarf Fortress Roundtable wishing you a happy fortress.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Okay, so round 2, I am unmuting Nate. Greetings, Nathan.
Hey there.
Greetings.
Oh,
Hold
there
on one
he is.
second here. I'm gonna make a bunch of noise. There we go. Repositioning the microphone.
That's
Hey,
cool.
you should
That's
get that looked at. That sounds bad.
Hey, thank you so much, Nathan, for coming on here at such short notice. It just occurred to me that see, Tony's going to be out of town in a couple weeks, and we were like, well, maybe we could. Do we want to skip an episode? Do we want to record a double episode? And it was on Saturday afternoon that I thought, I wonder if Nathan's available, and we could just have him back on and talk videos and stuff, and just whatever he wants to talk about. So thanks so much for
Yeah.
coming in at such short notice, man.
Yeah, well, I sure am available, at least
Cool.
this weekend.
Awesome.
It's fantastic. Well,
Serendipity.
I enjoyed your video, so thanks for posting it. I thought that was really good.
I'm
Okay.
glad.
Oh, yeah.
I actually, I am working on another one right now. I just was on my computer doing some Caden Live work and waiting for my introduction.
So let me
Well,
do another
awesome.
quick intro here. Welcome to Dwarf Fortress Roundtable, the podcast for all things dwarfy. I'm Jonathan,
I'm Roland.
I'm Tony.
and we're welcoming Nathan back, who was on a couple episodes ago. And welcome back, Nathan.
I'm glad to be here again.
Great. So a little bit of an aside. We you know what? Never mind that. I'm going to scrap that. We're not even going to.
No asides. Straight
No
to the point.
asides. Damn it. No.
No asides.
Yes. So Nathan, you on your last episode, on the last episode of Dwarf Fortress with Nathan, last time that you were in, Nathan, we didn't mention your YouTube channel because it was not quite off the ground yet. But since then, you have gotten your YouTube channel up and going. So you want to talk about that for a bit? Tell everyone about it.
Sure, I've got 2 videos out right now, and I'm about to release another one hopefully today. And I guess kind of my first target for subject matter was kind of going into detail about how the basics, what's normally considered basic and fundamental in the game, can be elevated to a more advanced level of gameplay, and how important it is to take those basic concepts and perfect them, because it really is like the foundational part. So stockpiles was the first video, and then work order management was the second video, both of which are things that you could just tell your dwarves to put things in a place, or you could just tell them to make a chair, or you could describe to your dwarves a more advanced, more self-sufficient way to run things.
And that is
So that's what I wanted to do.
That is definitely one thing that I need to improve on, because I am still in the situation where I tell dwarves to build things and I tell dwarves to move things. Although, I think we talked about it last time you were on, I have advanced my stockpile management a little bit more, but I still have never even used the manager for anything other than someone to occupy an office.
Interesting.
Yeah, and actually some of the inspiration that caused me to think of that as a video subject is because of how long it took me to get to that point. Despite having come from RimWorld where I did all those things, it still took me forever to start doing them again here in Dwarf Fortress. I was like, this is silly. Why? As soon as I made a manager, I was like, why have I not done this before? I've been wasting my time telling dwarves one at a time to build coffers.
Have either of you, Tony or Roland, used the manager to manage your production?
Yeah, I always do. I really like it. Manager is a super cool time saver, and I mean I use it in combination with the what do you call it, the whatever it is, Alt W, the DF hack thing, the workflow manager. I use them both, but you don't need to. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I use it too. Like, I stopped using the normal workshops because the manager is so much easier. But until a bit ago, I was just using the manager as an overview over all the stockpiles, meaning that I still went in and was like, I need now 10 doors, please, and put that into the manager instead of the normal normal workshops. But now I'm trying to get into the whole like ongoing orders. So my current fortress has a lot of dwarves, and I try to keep them fed and like drunk with just workshop management. And it seems to be working fairly well right now. Nobody has been starving. I have a lot of drinks, and I haven't touched the manager in like 2 years in-game time now. So I suppose it's going fairly good. Yeah.
There's a lot more I think you could do with it. Gosh, it would be really cool if somebody made a really helpful video to go through how
If
managers
only.
work.
Who could that
if
be, huh?
only someone could do
Well,
that.
I
I
think-
would totally watch it.
I think there's this new YouTube channel out there called Paranoid Metroid.
No kidding.
Yes, I think that.
Holy shit.
Do you know anything about that, Nathan? Paranoid Metroid. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've been visiting it fairly frequently right now.
Yeah. That's great.
Actually, I don't want to. I feel like stockpiles have been such a sticking point for the last episode I was on, and even some episodes before that. I heard you guys talking about them. So I don't want to stick us on it too long, but my next
Feel
video
free.
is actually going to be about the difference between the refuse stockpile, the corpses stockpile, and the garbage dump, and the difference between the three. Because I don't know how you guys approached that when you first started playing Dwarf Fortress, but it was a huge point of confusion for me. So
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
got the manager video now, and then I'm going to go kind of back to stockpiles for a little bit on my channel to talk about that and help new people understand why their corpses aren't where they want them to be.
I never had
That's
much.
cool.
I never had
Sorry,
much
go ahead.
problem with that because the way I learned was through the Dwarf Fortress wikis, Fortress Mode tutorial, and one of the first things that it does is have you build separate refuse and corpse stockpiles, and it explains pretty well the difference between them. And
that's
because I never actually made it all the way through that tutorial, still haven't made it all the way through that tutorial, I started it over and over again, probably 30 or 40 times. So that part of it, everything that happened at the beginning of that tutorial got drilled into my head because I was almost brainwashed with it. So, but if anyone else is out there trying to learn Dwarf Fortress and they've had trouble with other ways, I really recommend the Quick Start Guide on the Dwarf Fortress wiki because it is really, really good.
Yeah, the Dwarf
Indeed.
Fortress wiki is an extremely expansive resource. It's actually something I touch on in a brief note in this video. It's a real short video because I got a lot of important stuff going on this weekend. But I touch for a second on how I use the wiki as a learning resource for my videos, and how honestly, even in my videos, you should go check my work at the wiki because I don't make the videos by reading the wiki and then translating it into video form. I'm actually just talking about how I do things.
Mhm.
But for that reason, the wiki probably has more information than I have to offer. So it's always worth just going to the wiki. And if they have a tutorial, I haven't used it, but new players could definitely benefit from that, probably more than anyone's single video or a small set of videos.
It is very extensive, though, and it is perhaps overly detailed. So it just depends on what you want. So so I've learned a lot from tutorial videos. In fact, the first time that I tried to play Dwarf Fortress, I was following along, and gee whiz, I wish I could remember. We probably covered it in previous episodes, but it was someone's tutorial video about the first things that you do whenever you start a fortress, and it was in vanilla DF mode, and it was all of the key sequences and stuff. So that's one way to do things. Another way is the wiki, but the wiki can be overly detailed sometimes. So
Yeah, I get a bit lost. I love the wiki for looking up things like what's a volcanic stone that won't, like, what's if I make my mechanisms out of this, will it kill my dwarves, or is it magma proof? That's the kind of stuff I like to look up there. I haven't really ever thought of it for tutorials. I just blindly followed and did exactly what Paradexis Errant told me to do in his really brilliant walkthrough guide getting started thing. And so I don't question the master, guys. I don't question the master.
it's a great resource for answering the question, how do I do X? Because how do I make glass? How do I make soap?
The
wiki
you're totally right. Yeah,
the wiki is how you do that, really. I mean,
the wiki
It's
is how you
also
make soap.
it's also fantastic for information dense topics where a video would have to ramble on for 2 hours to cover everything. For example, advanced world generation. I would never turn on a video to hear someone describe to me all of the parameters of advanced world generation. That would be a headache, a 2 hour long headache. And other things like armor as well. I don't want to listen to someone tell me what coverage each type of shirt offers. It's way easier to go to the wiki and see the chart because it's an information dense subject.
You just put your finger on something which I think is really important, which is really good, is like what I like in a video is where you take a certain concept and you're like, hey, here's how I do stockpiles. And you just sort of walk through that. Like, I don't need to know, like you just said, I like the wikis for that. I don't need to know every option of every permutation, because man, those are hard to watch and I can just read it on the wiki. But like videos that really hit the spot are the ones where it's like, hey, this is how I do this. And you showed something in like really clear way in like 2 minutes. I don't need to know all the parameters. You totally hit
that was absolutely a concern of mine in the first video as well about stockpiles, which actually I think comes up as my second video because I transferred it over. But in my video about stockpile logic, it was a concern. It was a bigger concern in my manager's work order management video, because I could have talked for days about how all of the different purple texts, the inequality texts, work. I could have talked for days about the, how to apply this to farming and how to apply this to cooking and how to apply this to clothing and all that stuff. But it was, I re-recorded three times. I re-recorded that thing because I was like, people don't need to hear me talk about how to do everything.
Yeah.
They just need to see me do something. Yep. And then they can go to the wiki and be like, well, he didn't cover what this specific line means, but that's easy enough to look up and then, apply it to my needs.
Yeah. Otherwise you just overwhelm, you stop being informational and you start being overwhelming. And I think finding that balance is tough.
So what you could do is have a second layer of videos or a second set of videos later that's called like post-grad Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, right. I was thinking about that like 202 or something.
Yeah, master's course.
Yeah. And I might even, I didn't cover any quantum stockpiles or anything. I don't really use them, so I'm not qualified to cover them right now anyway. But those things could be covered in a future video. Who knows?
And that is true. That's, you could have it basically say, if you're watching this video, then that means that you want the minutia. Then you then you want to hear the details that are going to bore the common human being. But if you're here, that means that you want to know how long you should actually have the manager screen open to optimize your processor utilization to make you have 2 more chairs
Yeah, right.
in this
Exactly.
in this fortress year.
Yeah, and I might go. One of my videos might be about like how to keep clutter down and help frame rates. Although that's another thing I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about because I don't often experience frame death. But like those videos could be quite long and detailed. If I choose for them to be, and there's things like pathfinding, and an upcoming video of mine is going to be, I don't know how far out this is. This might be after all these like advanced basics videos, but about vertical fortress design. And that may go into detail about pathfinding, or at least about distance calculation based on vertical fortress designs versus flat ones, and that could get really mathy. And I could spend 15 minutes just talking about the math on that. But I don't want to yet. That'll be Dwarf Fortress 202, not 101.
Master's course.
I'm not sure why.
You could time that one with the Steam release, so it gives you a couple years to work on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that too soon?
So what you're saying is you already have a roadmap, and we will judge you whether you get to that roadmap fast enough or not. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
He's on Valve time.
He's gonna issue full refunds to us if.
I'll refund your time back.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
I've never had a problem, and I'm not sure why this is, but I've always, I guess almost intuitively, been able to see Dwarf Fortress as a 3-dimensional entity, even though you're seeing one slice at a time. The vertical fortress management hasn't been a problem for me like it is, I think, for some people. I think of, 3 steps as Z levels being the same as 3 steps vertically horizontally or whatever on a plane in my fortresses.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone does that. I think that sometimes is a problem.
I think that the biggest issue with vertical fortress design, and this is actually something, despite me always doing vertical fortress design, is something that I still somehow get caught up on every time I start a new fortress, which is how do I organize my industries and my levels to be close together and to be efficiently placed relative to each other with vertical fortress design. Because when it's horizontal, when it's all flat, it's easy to see. Like, okay, so I've got my wood stockpile here, and my carpenter workshop is to the right of it, along with my bowyer workshop, and they just use the wood. But then I got a wood burner below it, or to the south of it. And then that wood burner feeds a pile to the south of that, and then below that is my smelter and my metalsmith's forge. So there's kind of this easy workflow. It's 2-dimensional. But then you add 3 dimensions, and you're like, well, I want to keep everything within 10 squares of the central staircase, because that's kind of how I've done the math to know that going up and down is only as long as going left and right. And so then you're wondering, well, okay, I have limited space on each floor before I defeat the whole purpose. So I need to put my wood stockpile on one floor, my wood products and furniture on another floor, and somehow fit in between there the carpenter and bowyer workshops. Then I need to have my wood burner. Is it on the same floor as the wood stockpile, or is it just below? And then where does that go? The charcoal, does it go with the wood burner above the smelter, or is the smelter on the same floor across? Because then it has to feed back up to the metalcraft, the metalsmith's workshop, which is also feeding a furniture stockpile for metal furniture, or product stockpile for metal products. And I want that metal product stockpile to be on the same floor as the wood product stockpile. So I have a single floor with all my products I can quickly look at. So there's a lot of considerations, and then it kind of blows up into this thing. So I usually actually spend over half an hour planning my fortress when I start it, because vertical fortress design, not just the concept of walking distance, but actually the concept of designing a workflow in a vertical fortress can explode into a daunting task.
Wow, okay. You put way more like brain capacity into your forts than I do,
Yep.
because I just dig like I have a usual layout that I use almost always. It's fairly okay for me. And I just dig it out slowly over the years. And so like most of my fortresses do end up looking very, very closely to each other. And I'm not like, oh yeah, like my wood stockpile has to go. No, it's like, yeah, I need a wood stockpile and like enough space here. Let's dig it out, boys.
Yeah, that's perfectly. I'm sure that will work. That's the thing with Dwarf Fortress is I bet you could do everything in the game without any risk of failure, without any experience of fun, just doing that. So really, in a sense, it's totally unnecessary to go to the depths that I would go to or other people might go to for fortress design. But it is also really neat to see your dwarves working in this organized workflow in this like planned space and having everything kind of naturally culminate into the product that you want it to be.
I can see Dwarf Fortress being a class in an industrial engineering a course curriculum at some university. That would be great.
Yeah.
Hey, it's aspirational for me. Like when I look at those videos, I'm like, man, I'm going to be able to do this. This is going to be awesome. What a great idea. Like for me, it just gets me excited when I see this kind of stuff because I do things like I'll have an idea and I'll go chase the idea down, but I figure I'm going to die or get bored before I get the idea done anyway. So I kind of just go through the motions sometimes in, tossing up a fort just to test out or play out a concept or an idea. And the idea of like building out one of these really cool, complicated, well-planned forts sounds like a fun way to play it, actually. Like that's different than I do. And I kind of think that might be fun. I might go do that. Maybe that'll be my next goal. Yeah.
I would say that it's like the, is it left brain that's the more logical side, supposedly, according to old school teaching?
We're not gonna hold you to anything here. It's either one.
Right. Anyway, I'm pretty sure left brain is supposed to be the more logical one. It's kind of like, you see like Krug Smash's forts, and you see these like interesting artistic concepts, and he wants things to give a certain impression visually, and he will put a lot of time into what amounts to ultimately totally useless, or not useless. It's just totally inconsequential. Yeah, exactly. So he's putting all his time in that case, it's aesthetics. It's inconsequential either way. Well, I'm doing the same thing, but I really like the numbers. I really like to know that my dwarves are making their metal crafts as fast as possible from the moment they chop down the tree to the moment they have the metal crafts made. I want to know that it was all done in a logical and optimal way. And that's my aesthetics, so to speak. That's what I will spend a lot of time inconsequentially toiling away at, at making my fortress do it that way.
Last time you were on, you did mention that if you had some gems that were embedded in bedroom walls, that you would probably take the gems out and replace them with regular walls because you didn't want to see the variations in colors there. So that's an aesthetic choice. So what wins out for you?
Honestly, I just like everything to be neat and tidy. That's kind of my thing. So I'd say that aesthetics are second, but if it's a matter of eliminating chaos, then it becomes important again. I don't really care what shape my fortress takes aesthetically, but I do care if there's aesthetic chaos in it. I do not like that one bedroom looks way different from another bedroom. I want all my bedrooms to be the same.
Yeah, and a clean workspace is a safe workplace.
Yep.
True. A quick viewer question though. Okay, I'm trying to read it out, but I'm probably gonna butcher words. Okay, so how do we feel about pathing and multi-threading? If we could give up consistently deterministic pathing in favor of multiple concurrent pathing threads, would you think that it is worth the trade-off?
Absolutely. If I understand the question.
I think he's been drinking, so
I think the question is introducing variability into pathing, so dwarves don't always take the same path, and the trade-off is that your computer can use more of its resources to determine those paths, I believe is the...
Yeah, I think that's what, I think that's what
Mhm.
it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's the way I read it.
But is
Yeah.
is it moot because the actual game the game processing, apart from graphics, I think is single threaded with Dwarf Fortress, and from the way Tarn has talked, he has no interest in changing that because it's just something that he doesn't want to delve into. It would mean that he would have to rewrite all the code from the ground up.
Yes.
And
He was
so,
pretty clear about
yeah.
the multi-threading, and I think multi-threading's tricky because the way that I understood the game worked is that basically every processor cycle, it's recalculating everything in a specific order. So I think he was saying that it was difficult to basically multi-thread in that kind of a scenario because you want everything to be calculated in a certain very specific order. So
Yeah.
There
For
I
example,
imagine-
you know,
Go ahead, Nathan.
I imagine that there would be, I'm no software engineer, so by all means, you know, correct me if I'm wrong here, anybody, but I imagine there are some things that can be compartmentalized. For example, the wounds and the health details of your creatures don't necessarily need to be exactly in time with the rest of the calculations of the game. If a sword strike hits a dwarf who technically should have lost his foot last frame, but didn't because that thread is lagging behind or hasn't, what am I thinking, synced with the rest of the program. Well, who cares? So one strike in the game landed on a foot that shouldn't have existed, but it's not going to break the game. It's going to add a little bit more chaos to the results of things, but I mean, the result is you get multi-threading. The result is an enormous performance boost. I'm not saying Tarn should do this or that he will ever do this. It would be extremely complicated to implement still, but it's not impossible to multi-thread the game. I don't think. It's just not, it's not reasonable.
So, and I'm also not sure that he actually does have it totally optimized for the pathing anyway. If there's a choice between having the optimum path at, say 1,000 clock cycles and having a good path that is not optimized at 500, of course I've never seen the code, but I suspect that he's probably doing a good path rather than the optimum one. That seems like it would be a good trade-off to make anyway. But
I feel like World Gen.
thanks for the
could
question,
benefit
by the way. That's a great one.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of threads on the Reddit about this as well, which I think are really interesting. But I think World Gen would be a pretty cool use case for multi-threading because I feel like you could do a lot of interesting stuff there. I have a feeling though that Tarn is more of a I want to put the coolest features and shit into this game, and I don't want to get hung up on these programmy kind of annoyances because it does feel like they're kind of programmy annoyances. You know what I mean? So it would be cool if he had somebody that he trusted enough to kind of help him with multi-thread and optimization. But I can also imagine that why change a great thing? Like he's doing pretty cool stuff by himself, and
especially when we're going to have quantum computers by the time the Steam release comes out, you might as well just stick with what you got.
True.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that the other day, and like how what Dwarf Fortress could do with quantum computing, and there I don't know that it would work, but I think it could in a lot of ways because quantum computers are really good at like Monte Carlo simulations, and I think that's a problem that Dwarf Fortress has.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, what's a Monte Carlo simulation?
Oh, let's don't.
Okay. Apparently
Well,
it is a very computer sciencey thing.
Yeah,
Is it like the traveling
boring.
salesman problem?
It's so boring.
What?
I'm practically putting myself to sleep just thinking about telling you about it. So
Okay, so the traveling salesman problem, Roland, is a pathing problem, trying to find optimum paths among cities. That is that a traveling salesman has to go to 12 cities, and he wants to find the optimum path to go to all 12 cities. So, and it's a
Yeah,
very hard
it's that
computer intensive problem.
exactly. It's like dealing with probabilistic
I think it's MP hard.
outcomes
or something
and
like that.
uncertain outcomes, and kind of generating lots of results and sampling to get it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
I've got an interesting thing to expand on this maybe.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to say hopefully I do get this vertical fortress design video out, because pathing being a problem is something that vertical fortress design eliminates. Well, it doesn't eliminate, it mitigates. Anyway, also, so when you go into the designations menu and you go into your routes, set traffic areas, and you say high traffic, normal traffic, low traffic, or restricted. So far, I only use restricted to keep people off of frozen rivers, basically. Well, if you set high traffic areas, what does that eliminate a lot of this computational load for pathing, or does it just like choose after the fact, after it still does all the work? Do we know?
I think it actually favors a high path with a
High compute.
Damn it! My brain is like on 1%. Sorry. So if you put a massive highway into your fort and designate it with like a high priority, then the dwarves will actually go around a slightly longer corner instead of the room in the middle that is maybe shorter. I tried that in my fortress because I accidentally put a workshop in there, and they always went through the workshop instead of like the main road around it, and that annoyed me, like for aesthetic reasons. And when I put in the high traffic area, they walked around it instead of through the workshop. So I suppose, yes, they do it before they start thinking about pathing.
Okay,
So
that's
then
actually
that sounds like it would help with computational. That may be interesting to try some dwarven science with.
I'm actually looking at it right now. I just opened up that menu, and this is interesting. I've only ever used it for restricted, so I've never even read this menu. But I'm realizing now that what this does is it increases the cost of movement through each square by a specific amount that you can customize. So a normal traffic cost is 2. A high traffic cost is 1, meaning you want this to be a high traffic area, so it only costs 1 movement. Whereas normal is 2. So I think you're literally plugging values into the pathfinding algorithm. I think that's what this is letting you do. It's telling you this square here costs 2 units, of travel, whereas this one only costs 1, and then the restricted costs 25. So like,
That's
you
cool.
better need to go through there.
I don't know if that would help with your algorithmic complexity, though. I don't know if that would save you any. If it still got to look up the move value of a particular tile, then I don't know that it would save you any computational time by setting the path.
I guess it depends on whether or not the algorithm calls options based on. So like if the algorithm sees 2 options and one is a cost of 25 and the other has a cost of 2, does it call all of the possibilities beyond that 25 and just stop thinking about it? Or does it run through the whole path and then just add that 25 in? I don't know. I don't know how pathing works. I'm talking way out of my league here.
I'm gonna have to put a warning on this. Any episode that mentions the word algorithm more than 3 times has to have a warning label on it saying that this is a tech episode.
Right.
Yep.
So there was a point I wanted to make back there. Let me see if I can dig back through it. Never mind. Lost to the sands of time.
How about I've got a question. Can we divert to a pickup topic or a side topic? How do you guys feel about that?
Is it
Moving
less
on to a
technical?
new topic.
It's less technical for sure,
All right,
and
good.
it's certainly one to stir opinions.
Uh-oh.
When you're building a fort and you realize that you are in an area with no or little iron, how do you guys go about building your armor and weaponry?
Wrestlers. I just sacrifice wrestlers.
So that's cool. So you basically are just you're on the migrants train.
Yeah, well,
Feed
I mean,
the
I
war
get plenty
machine,
of them.
please.
Yeah.
Wrestlers.
I just do whatever I can.
Yeah.
I make it out of copper or whatever. And if my dwarves die in combat, my population goes down, and I probably got some goblinite. So, win-win.
Yeah, so harvest the goblinite, smart. Yeah, that's been my number one, is just going to copper and then silver warhammers, and
Absolutely.
I haven't really experimented much with bronze, like a little bit, because I seem to have a bunch of it in one of the forts I'm playing. So I've got bronze armor, but I don't know if that's better or worse than copper. I'm sure the wiki would tell me.
It's
Bronze is
better.
better.
It's
better.
Yeah, it's a tiny bit better.
Your top three, or sorry, I would say top four then. The best is adamantine, the second best is steel, third best is bismuth bronze, and then the fourth best is bronze. Interestingly, silver is below copper. Silver apparently it's like the most sucky thing you can build things out of.
Well,
Warhammers are good, though.
That's subject to context, because in warhammers and maces, silver is great, and that's the first thing I make in most of my fortresses, because I usually have silver.
Exclusively, yes.
Cool. Didn't know that.
And
so
you can
I was looking
talk
at
them into
armor
using
whenever
it,
I was reading
too.
about it. What's that?
And you can make them, the more of them you have, I think the more they'll use them. At least that's the way that I'd understood it.
Interesting.
Like if you
So
have
there's-
10 silver warhammers, they'll go pick them up and start using them, basically.
Interesting.
Sounds like there's a complete episode in utilization of metals. So
Man, we're set.
Yeah, I have a complete video, I guess, in making
Badass.
uniforms for your dwarves, because you can, in fact, tell your militia squad to use silver warhammers exclusively.
Yes. You should actually, if I can backseat a bit, you should actually try to get technical on that, and maybe tell the listener how to take those values and actually put it into the goddamn game, so that you don't have to do it in every single fortress again and again. Because I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's very useful. So military is more, it's not something I'll put in my advanced basics, because I feel like just making squads is already more than basics in this game. But so I have a squad here that's called the Hack and Slashers, and they're all axe lords, because I forced them all to use steel axes. And so when they go and they spar and they do their thing, they're always using axes. So they're just 10 axe lords. And it only took a year to make them into 10 axe lords, because there's no fumbling around with oh, well, this guy's using a mace. What's up with that? Or whatever. They're in there. They're doing their thing with their axes. They've got the armor on that I want them to have on. And I send them out to combat, and they're like, we know how to do this. This is what we all do. We slash and hack.
and it's another thing that you can tell your archers to have nothing on their body except for a crossbow. So if you
maybe a quiver too.
Well, yeah. I meant as in the weapon part.
and underwear, preferably, at least underwear.
I don't know. New dwarven crossbowman. That might be interesting.
Terrifying.
Fast.
But yeah.
But yeah, so that's a whole thing in itself, because I started doing that. So my squads, as of right now, for example, I have a dedicated archer squad for fun, not for utility. But then I just go with spear dwarves, because I really like spears, hammers, axes, and now very new the swords. And they're just dedicated squads, so 10 each. And even if you don't fill up the squads, they learn so much faster than when you have a squad of mixed dwarves, that I don't see the point anymore in doing a mixed squad.
Yeah, I don't either. I've got two squads. My second one is the Wappin Bashers, and they're all hammer lords with their silver warhammers.
I've got a mixed squad that ended up. It took them longer than a year. I've got actually two mixed squads and it took longer than a year, but they all have the mace lords, hammer lords, axe lords in them, because all they ever did was sit there and train. and they haven't really run up against a really tough invasion opponent yet. There's been like 3 goblin sieges, and the last 2 haven't lost a single dwarf, and the fighting was over very quickly. They've all got bronze and steel armor on, but they are using their choice of melee weapons. So it's been nice, but I do understand if you're trying to optimize it, and if you're trying to get trolls or something like that, probably be better to have.
It also feels good. It goes back into the vein of like wanting things to be tidy. Like I like having a axe squad. I like knowing that these dwarves are my axe dwarves, and that I will send them to where I want my axe dwarves to be. And if there's armored opponents, maybe I'll use the spear dwarves, because I'm pretty sure that's better against armor. It feels good, but you don't really need to do it. I suppose it only takes a little bit longer to train your squad up if it's mixed, but
And I think Krugsmash approached one of his forts that way, where he had like squads, and one was like the Rock Bashers, or and it all looked really neat and tidy and uniform and just put together in a way that I felt like made the simulation of the game feel deeper and more interesting, because you had these squads and you could sort of then imagine that they were the Rock Bashers, and of course they are rough and tumble and they like to get drunk in a tavern. It just like, I felt like it really added a richness. Otherwise it's just like you're kind of pulling levers in some sort of weird simulation. So I second your idea, and also find it aspirational, because I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, and something else. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Nathan.
I was going to say something else that I might do a video on is just dwarf management, basically processing migrants, because in the same vein, being able to take in migrants and compartmentalize them and make these migrants into like potential recruits, and these migrants into cheap hauling labor because they can't handle stress or something. Just being able to put large numbers of dwarves into groups that have a single descriptor or a single purpose makes the game it makes it easier to get deeper into the simulation, because it doesn't seem like such a mob of random dwarves.
You said processing migrants. I thought like of a little dwarven Ellis Island.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is, though. They come in, I go into Dwarf Therapist, and I go down the list. I'm like, none of you have any jobs right now. All of them are gone. So now, who's better than my current worker at something? Okay, you get promoted. Now that guy doesn't have a job. Now I go through all my jobless dwarves, and I'm like, which one of you have any military skills? All right, you're potential recruits, or you're getting recruited right now. Everyone else, I might read like their personality to see if I could recruit them based on their ability to handle, conflict. But, maybe I'll just make them into peasants or something.
So it sounds like that you are also a Dwarf Therapist fan. I really enjoy it. I don't know that Roland and Tony share my love of the utility.
Hey, to each their own.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
I just don't know how else to process dwarves like that. Like how else do you get through them and put them in the right place? The game doesn't make that easy, especially when you get 19 migrants in one wave. You're like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know everyone's going to hate it, but I use auto labor, and then I don't ever have to think about it. I know.
No, it's certainly, it's what you want to spend your time on, right? So if you can use auto labor and then spend your brain energy on making your squads, really kick ass and have them have all kinds of shiny steel armor and silver warhammers, then it's whatever you want to spend your time in the game with.
Yeah, I ended up for a while, like when I first started playing it, I'm playing on a 4K monitor, and Therapist, when I brought it up, I needed a magnifying glass to read, and I was like, well, this sucks. I'm not going to do this. And so I just kind of didn't get into the habit of it. And then once I did start playing around with it, I was like, holy crap, this is really detailed. And then I was like, or I could just use auto labor and I don't have to think about any of this stuff.
Exactly.
And so you can see in my lazy ass world what went on.
Well, it sounds like Tarn agrees with you, because they're talking about implementing auto labor in the upcoming major release. So
Yeah, I mean, as long as they keep the ability for people to use therapists, because I think that there's a lot of value in that, where you would be able to have dwarves that would truly specialize, as where auto labor will do its best to try to find the right person. But if you don't, you'll end up with a wax worker that becomes, a legendary engraver just because of oops, just because he was available and you had him smooth out an entire, 200 tile floor. Now it's like you've accidentally got legendary, so it's like basically everybody's a jack of all trades and a master of none. But
and also like I want 2 farmers. Like I don't know what auto labor wants, but I want 2 legendary farmers in my fortress. I don't want 3, I don't want 6 or just 1.
Right.
I want 2.
Yeah, and you'll lose that, and like I can't have, and you lose a lot in the simulation too, because I don't know that Udib Katembarbek, he's a legendary beekeeper, but now I have him,
But he's
shoveling
also a
manure.
jerk. You don't like him, so
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, you totally lose that control. And I think if I were better at the game, perhaps then I would want that level of control, or I just wanted to play it differently. Yeah, I think it's awesome, and I hope nothing changes in that aspect.
Well, and it's absolutely about what you want to spend your time on.
Yeah,
like
what
Jonathan
you
said,
like.
because
That's why it's a fun game.
if you play the game like I do, if you when I've made enough videos, if you go in my videos and you try to emulate my exact play style, you will never go to the circus and you'll never raid other civilizations. These are things I don't do because I will spend dozens of hours just making my fortress neat, just making it tidy, making it work well, making it work how I want, making my little squads. I'll get like 2 raids and I'll already have like multiple squads with specialized uniforms, and I haven't even killed 30 goblins yet. So it's all about what you want to do. You could do the level of detail in certain things, but you might never touch other things that you might want to do.
Yeah,
and
true.
that is something
Yeah,
the
I
dwarf.
feel that.
Oh, go ahead, Roland.
No, I just wanted to say that I've been getting more and more into the whole military thing, because before that I was just a farmer. I sat my ass down on Dwarf Fortress and I made like so much food that I could probably supply the entirety of every single civilization upon my continent. And because I really liked reading the descriptions, that's it. And now I've been getting more and more into the whole like smithing and forging weapons, and like not even raiding, just having a good military. That's it. I'm not even talking about raiding. I'm just talking about how do I get my dwarves to train effectively? How do I get my dwarves to train good, fast, and so on? And that already in itself is such a dense topic that I've been walking back to the wiki, which I haven't done for maybe 2 years, like seriously. And I sat down and I read about it, and I was like, how do I can make that? How can I get like this 0.0% one better stuff for my squad? And
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time raiding and building up military squads and sending them out and conquering villages and stuff. I've enjoyed that a lot, kind of watching the hilarity that ensues with that.
Hey, Nathan, we were talking on the last episode. I don't know if I brought it up in this episode or not, but I did get full text mode working over an SSH. I even downloaded Dwarf Fortress over the SSH and installed it, and I had to install the libraries and stuff. But that's the first thing that I missed whenever I was doing SSH total true vanilla text mode Dwarf Fortress. I missed Dwarf Therapist immediately. So then I realized, I guess I need to delve into a little bit more about how to manually set these. And can you even run DF Hack or Dwarf, or you couldn't do Dwarf Therapist without a graphical interface? But DF Hack, could you run that in like a background process?
I have no idea, but I would guess not, unless you started it through its graphical interface, because I think it was written for Windows first, and most software that's written for Windows is written dependent on the graphical interface.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so yeah, I wanted to bring up with you that you inspired me to get in there and see how you do it, and I did it, and it works wonderfully. It's fast. I just need to learn more about the guts of Vanilla Dwarf Fortress before I can use it effectively.
Yeah, right. Especially like if you are into like gathering plants and stuff, and it's like, okay, I need cranberry bushes. I want to brew cranberries. What of this mess is a cranberry? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Is it the comma? Is the green comma a cranberry plant?
Yeah, that's
Just gather all and check if you found some cranberries. That's
Yeah,
like the only way you can actually achieve this, because sitting there looking at every single tile upon your screen with it like K no, that's insanity.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it
I
takes
agree.
so long to get. It actually takes a surprisingly long time for a dwarf to gather plants.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I hate
yes.
sending them out there for random stuff.
And there's two ways to do it. Like you can set a zone to have them pick in, and then you can use the designation. Lots of different ways to do it.
And there's one more really
yeah.
interesting thing that I found. So whenever I was running in Putty, SSHing into the computer, and I ran Dwarf Fortress, I got the smiley faces for the dwarves, the smiley face ASCII character. But whenever I actually brought up a full screen terminal session on the actual Linux box and ran Dwarf Fortress that way, the dwarves were represented with the lowercase d instead of the smiley face. I don't know if it's that that my terminal, when actually running straight terminal, doesn't have the smiley face character in its set, but apparently they have some fallback consideration, so that if there is no smiley face, it becomes a D. It's interesting.
Yeah, they must. I wonder if you're. Sorry, we're gonna get real techie now.
That's fine. I like that stuff.
I wonder if your terminal emulator has that font, has those characters available in its font in your configuration.
Well, it's it's whatever is stock on KDE Neon. That's the distribution that I'm running. So, and I'm talking about I hit Control Alt F6 to bring up a brand new login prompt that is taking over the full screen. It's not a terminal emulator. It's the stock terminal.
Oh, you're actually in the
Linux box.
TTY. Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, we should go back to Dwarf Fortress before we get too deep into this.
You're gonna kill him. Actually, how's
Sorry.
our time going,
Yeah,
Jonathan? Should we time
prob-
check?
Yeah, well, this particular episode has been running now for about 35, 40 minutes. So yeah, we can start wrapping up if you guys want to. So, yeah, so
I'm actually I'm looking into. I looked into advanced world generation. Sorry, I'm just going to segue us way over to a totally different field. I looked into advanced world generation because we were talking about raiding before, and I tried making some old worlds and getting like the historical figures and the site caps and all that stuff, population caps, to optimize so I could make a 2021 world, but not a pocket world, like at least medium-sized world. And
what do you mean by 2021?
Like 2021 years of history. So bring it up to date, basically.
Do you like necromancers?
Right. Well, here's what I found. This is so interesting with old worlds, is at least right now. What happened in my world was some necromancer who had a bad go of it. He tried manipulating some goblin leaders at a tower, and it never worked out. And then he got banished after learning, being a necromancer apprentice, and went to a town, and they suspected him of being a necromancer because he never aged. And then he got kicked out, and he was wandering the wilderness. And then he started this band, or he took over some band called the Azure Sorcerers. And it wasn't even part of a Civ. This isn't listed on the Civ list. I went to the Legends viewer even to try to get more information. And he took over everything. Now, out of 100 and something sites in the world, or no, 1,000 something sites in the world, he had over 900 of them under his control.
Good Lord.
For a civilization that's not even listed on the Civ screen. They owned everything, and it was all because of this one guy who started he was still alive, running around. I think the last place he was seen was the Elven place. So if you really want something, if you don't want to do all this fortressy, like optimize your vertical fortress layout or whatever, and you just want to go find cool characters and stuff, running an old world, I discovered, is a great way to make supervillains that you can spend your time hunting down and like preparing an army just to go
That's
kill this
awesome.
one guy. Nella Motherwaves, that was his name, I remember. He was a wild boar man necromancer, and he
Good
owned
Lord.
the world. There weren't even goblins left. There was only like 2,000 goblins left. They were all undead. Everyone was undead.
Yeah, that's the problem I found with that one. And man, it's relentless. Like if you like basically when I was playing those old worlds, like the very first thing you do is cut down trees and build a wall. And if you didn't do that, you were dead in like seconds. It was insane. Sometimes I couldn't even get my last wall segment built before I had an invasion. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, and be prepared to go without migrants. My civilization had 12, a population of 12, and they were all animals. The only thing that was left of the last dwarven civilization was their horses.
Jesus.
So I was like, all right, I guess it's just me. So I was like, I'm going to have to burrow down, bunker down to be impenetrable, and then just breed dwarves to recreate civilization.
Yep. You're the last, so you do get to have the king. That's kind of fun, but
yeah,
but it's just you. So yeah, wild.
Okay, guys.
All right, guys.
I think that we need to wrap this one up. This episode of Dwarf Fortress Roundtable. If anyone wants to send us an email again, send it to urist@dfroundtable.com. That's URIST at dfroundtable.com. Nathan, thank you so much. I don't even know if we actually explicitly stated your YouTube channel is Paranoid Metroid.
Yes, Paranoid Metroid.
2 words.
Yeah, I put it in the chat before.
Great. So, but
cool.
for all of those people who are not on our live stream, which you can find every other Sunday, typically, there's going to be some interruption coming up here, so it may not be as regular as it has been or will be. But you can find the link to the live stream at dfroundtable.com or on our YouTube channel. So thanks again, Nathan, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a blast. So, okay, until next time, this has been Dwarf Fortress Roundtable, and have a happy fortress, everybody.
See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
All right.
Okay, so we thanks again for the short notice stuff, Nathan.
No problem.
So we will. It looks like the next time that we're going to be scheduled to record is July 11th. Because this episode that we're talking about right now, I'm sure that your video, Nathan, is going to be out because it is going to be released on July 4th. So
Gotcha.
So why don't we plan on getting together if it's okay with you, Tony, and you, Roland? Let's get together for the July 11th episode, and that will start our summer hiatus because I'm going to be going on vacation, I think, starting August 13th, and I will be out maybe August 6th that we start. But in any case, I'm going to be doing vacation in August, and let's come back right after that vacation ends. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, it's good for me. I'm out of town the next 2 weekends. I'm going to be in New York. But
by the way, YouTube people, thanks so much for tuning in. You don't need to hear our silly management stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and kill the live stream. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Beat it. No. Yeah. So I'm going to be